At first glance, this may look like an ordinary 1-cent coin, something most people would casually ignore or even toss aside without a second thought. But this small copper coin carries a story that is far bigger than its size, a story deeply connected to American history, power, symbolism, and change. This is the Lincoln Memorial 1-cent coin, a design that quietly entered circulation in 1959, marking the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. For the very first time in US coinage history, a real building replaced a symbolic design on a circulating coin, and that building was none other than the Lincoln Memorial itself. This was not just a design change, it was a statement. Abraham Lincoln had already been featured on the obverse of the penny since 1909, but placing his memorial on the reverse transformed the coin into a moving monument, traveling through millions of hands every single day. Inside the Lincoln Memorial, if you look closely, you can actually see a tiny seated statue of Lincoln engraved at the center, making this one of the most detailed miniature architectural designs ever placed on a US coin. During the early years of its release, these pennies were struck primarily in bronze, composed of 95% copper, giving them both weight and intrinsic metal value that modern coins no longer carry. These coins circulated during some of the most critical decades of American history: the Cold War era, the Civil Rights Movement, the space race, and major economic shifts silently witnessing a nation in transformation. Millions were minted, yet not all survived equally. Over time, differences in strike quality, mint marks, surface preservation, and environmental exposure began separating ordinary examples from coins that collectors would later consider desirable. As copper prices fluctuated and production methods evolved, the Lincoln Memorial cent became a reflection of changing priorities in US minting, balancing cost, durability, and symbolism. What makes this coin truly fascinating is not just its age or design, but how it represents a bridge between old-style copper coinage and the modern era of mass production. Every scratch, tone variation, and contact mark on surviving examples tells a story of circulation, where it traveled, how it was used, and how long it remained in everyday commerce before being pulled aside. And as years passed, certain dates, mint varieties, and conditions quietly began gaining attention among collectors, setting the stage for values that most people never expected from a simple 1 cent. Over time, this coin became more than just a unit of currency. It quietly reflected the economic mood and everyday life of an entire nation. It passed through countless hands, from factory workers and shopkeepers to students and soldiers, absorbing the marks of daily use while remaining a constant presence in American transactions. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse stood as a symbol of unity and endurance during periods of social change, political tension, and shifting monetary policies. While most people spent it without a second thought, a small number of observant individuals began setting aside examples with sharper strikes, clearer memorial steps, and stronger inscriptions, unknowingly preserving pieces that would later gain attention among collectors. Each surviving coin carries an untold journey, shaped by circulation, storage, and time itself. As years passed, subtle differences in condition began to separate ordinary examples from those that quietly stood out. And this is where the real story of this coin starts to deepen. While millions of these coins were struck for everyday use, only a fraction survived without heavy wear, scratches, rim damage, or corrosion caused by moisture and improper storage. The surface quality became one of the most important factors, with smooth fields, original luster remnants, and even natural toning adding layers of appeal that collectors carefully study. Lincoln's portrait, especially the hair details above the ear and the sharpness of the jawline, started to play a crucial role in determining how well a coin had aged over decades of handling. On the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial itself tells another chapter of the coin's journey, where the visibility of the columns, the steps, and the crispness of the lettering reflect how gently or harshly the coin moved through circulation. Over time, collectors began to realize that this coin represents more than just a single year of minting. It reflects a period when American currency was undergoing quiet but significant transitions. By the mid-1960s, economic pressures, metal shortages, and changing public behavior towards saving coins were reshaping how people interacted with everyday money. Many individuals unknowingly set aside coins that looked slightly different, slightly brighter, or simply newer than the rest, not because they understood their future value, but because something about them felt worth keeping. These small, Personal decisions contributed to the uneven survival rate we see today, where high-quality examples are far scarcer than raw mint numbers might suggest. As collecting matured, grading standards became more refined, and coins like this were no longer judged solely by age or date, but by the story written on their surfaces. Light contact marks could indicate brief circulation, while deeper abrasions revealed years of use in pockets, registers, and machines. Even the color of the metal began to matter, as original brown tones, red-brown hues, or traces of original red surfaces could significantly influence collector interest. What once passed unnoticed now demanded careful inspection under magnification, as experts searched for clues that separated average survivors from exceptional ones. This gradual shift transformed how the coin was viewed within the numismatic community. No longer just spare change, it became a tangible snapshot of daily American life, quietly documenting how money moved through society during a changing era. Each surviving piece carries invisible history, countless hands transactions, and moments frozen in metal. And it is precisely this blend of mass production and individual survival that continues to fuel fascination today, drawing both new collectors and seasoned experts into studying every detail, every mark, and every subtle variation that time has left behind. As interest in this coin continued to grow, collectors slowly began to shift their focus from simple ownership to deeper analysis, trying to understand why certain examples felt more desirable than others. This curiosity led to closer examination of minting quality, where even small differences in strike strength started to matter. Coins with sharper lettering, well-defined memorial lines, and balanced spacing between design elements were often the result of fresh dies and careful striking, making them noticeably superior to later strikes from worn equipment. These technical nuances, invisible to most people at first glance, became powerful indicators of quality for experienced collectors. At the same time, the role of storage and handling after minting gained importance in determining long-term value. Coins that spent decades in rolls, albums, or protective holders often retained a more stable surface, while those exposed to air, humidity, or improper cleaning suffered irreversible damage. Cleaning, in particular, became one of the most misunderstood actions, as many owners attempted to improve appearance without realizing that altered surfaces dramatically reduced collector appeal. Natural aging, even when uneven, was increasingly preferred over artificial brightness, reinforcing the idea that originality carries its own quiet authority in the numismatic world. Another layer of significance emerged as collectors connected this coin to broader historical patterns. It became a symbol of a time when everyday currency still carried strong national imagery and was deeply woven into daily commerce. The Lincoln Memorial design, recognizable yet often overlooked, began to be appreciated not just as artwork but as a cultural statement reflecting American identity during an era of social and economic change. This context added emotional value, turning the coin into a historical artifact rather than just a collectible object. Gradually, demand became more selective, with serious collectors seeking examples that told a clean, honest story. Coins that had not been excessively polished, altered, or mishandled. Auction records and private sales started to reflect this shift, where high-grade or visually appealing pieces quietly outperformed average ones. What once seemed common now required patience, knowledge, and timing to acquire in desirable condition, reinforcing the idea that true value often lies not in rarity alone, but in preservation, authenticity, and the subtle narrative each coin carries through time. As this deeper understanding developed, the conversation naturally moved toward one of the most misunderstood aspects of this coin, its real market value. Despite many exaggerated claims circulating online, the true price of this coin is firmly tied to condition and grading, not just its date or design. In circulated condition, where signs of wear are visible on Lincoln's portrait or the memorial, details appear softened. The coin typically holds modest value, often close to its face value or slightly above it. These examples remain historically interesting, but are widely available, which keeps their market price stable and realistic. However, grading changes everything. Coins professionally graded by recognized services and preserved in higher mint state conditions tell a very different story. A coin graded Miss 63 or Miss 64, showing minimal contact marks and strong overall eye appeal, begins to enter a more desirable collector range. In these grades, prices can rise noticeably, reflecting both scarcity in quality and increased demand. When examples reach Ms 65 and above, where surfaces are clean, luster remains vibrant, and design details are crisp, the value increases significantly not because the coins suddenly became rare, but because surviving specimens in such condition are genuinely difficult to find. What truly separates ordinary examples from premium ones is consistency across all grading factors. A strong strike alone is not enough. It must be paired with original surfaces, balanced toning, and the absence of harsh cleaning. Even a single improper cleaning attempt can drop a coin's value dramatically, regardless of how sharp the details appear. This is why collectors place such importance on certified grading, as it provides a trusted evaluation of authenticity, condition, and long-term market confidence. Over time, auction data has reinforced this reality. While average examples trade quietly, top-grade coins consistently attract competitive bidding, often surprising casual observers, who once assumed all coins of this type were the same. This price gap continues to widen as collectors become more educated, proving that true value is not created by hype, but by preservation, grading accuracy, and informed demand. In this way, the coin's market story mirrors its historical journey, subtle, layered, and rewarding for those who take the time to truly understand it. But what if I told you that the most valuable coins of this series are hiding in plain sight, waiting for collectors who know exactly what to look for? Stay tuned, because in our next video, we'll reveal the secrets behind the rarest, highest graded examples and the jaw-dropping prices they're fetching today. You won't want to miss it.